There are so many things in this game as far as who to pick and who to use and what they're good at, and it's constantly changing. We're constantly having a shift in the meta, and when you have discounts or you have selectors, it's like, who do you pick? Well, let me share a few high-level ideas from the 275 characters to hopefully inspire you on who you might want to consider and pick. So I'm going to kind of go through them. I'm going to go through them kind of quick, and I'm basically going to cover if they're meta in some form or game mode, and if it's worth getting them in my opinion. So as always with most of the videos that are made on any game, a lot of this is opinion based. So let's go ahead and start. Doctor Strange is meta. He is meta for PvE, multiple game modes. He pretty much is the strongest PvE character right now with his zombie uniform. So yes, tier 4able, 100% worth it. He's even good at tier 3. So yeah, get Doctor Strange if you can. Magneto has fallen out of the meta. He used to be former meta for AB, got replaced by Doctor Strange. He's still a reasonably strong character, but needs a seasonal uniform. He is PvE focused for most players in the game. I would probably say skip him for now. Shang-Chi is a skip for now. Null is the meta, or at least top 3 meta when it comes to PvP characters. You do need his uniform in his tier 4. He is very expensive. PvP is more of an endgame thing, so if you're a newer player, he's probably a skip for you. Sentry, likewise, is a PvP meta character, right up there in the top 3. At least this uniform or the very last one that came out, you need at least one of those two, again being PvP. For most new players, you can skip him. Gladiator is meta in World Boss Legendary and in AB. So for a lot of players, he's useful, but he is very expensive. So even though he is worth considering, you might not necessarily want to invest in him. Adam Warlock is an older meta for PvP. He is getting replaced for the most part. He still does decent work and damage, but again, PvP. Odin at this point is pretty much leadership. Even though he is strong, he is an expensive character. There are other ones to focus on, and unless you need his leadership, I would probably skip him for now. Scarlet Witch is meta in AB and World Boss Legendary. She does a pretty decent job. She does PvE content for the most part. She does need her newest uniform. She does need her tier 4. She's okay at tier 3, much better at tier 4. She's not too expensive, and she's pretty accessible, so that is someone that I would consider building. Silver Surfer PvP meta, top 5 at the very least, if not top 3. Likewise, we talked about PvP, so I'll move on. Madeline Pryor right now is pretty much a skip. Jean Grey is expensive to get, but with her newest uniform, she is really good in multiple content, including zombie battle or zombie survival mode, which not a lot of characters are fantastic at. Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, and Jean are probably the top 3. There's other ones that do pretty decent, like even Venom does pretty decent as well. So even though she is good and strong because of how pricey she is, and there are other characters in multiple game modes that do as good or better, yes, if you really want to invest the time and effort into her, no, you don't need her. But she is strong and she has a lot of survivability, and she can pretty much work anywhere, PvP and PvE. So yeah, at least consider. Wolverine PvP meta, top 5. Beta Ray Bill is both a leader and a support with his uniform. He does good work on his own in World Boss Legendary. He's pretty easy to get a hold of too, so I would say that yeah, he's worth considering. Gambit is ABL meta. He has one specific day. He does pretty decent as a striker for some characters, and he does good work. So if you do want to build him, you can, but honestly, he's more for AB competitive people. I think the average player would not want to invest in Gambit. Psylocke, seasonal, expensive character. ABL meta for one day because Gambit takes the other day away. I don't think I would recommend her for most players unless you're AB focused. Storm, pretty much at this point, is a support character. She has a great support. You definitely want a uniform. It is a seasonal uniform. Probably skipped for most players. Weapon Hex. I mean, she has support capabilities for some PvP stuff for zombie characters. She's probably a skip for most players. Mystique, support character. It's always good to have good, solid, strong support characters, and she could be tiered 4. So for the support, maybe, but you're not going to use her for much more than support. She used to be strong, but she fell out. Rogue right now is pretty much a skip in my opinion. Seasonal uniform. She is very strong, but again, there's other characters to focus on, especially if you're newer. Captain America is pretty much a skip in my opinion. Crescent is meta for AB, and she does pretty good in different game modes. She also has a self-leadership, so she's worth considering, and if you're AB, definitely worth getting. She's more of a premium character. It's harder to get her BIOS and stuff, so she's going to be skipped for the average player. Dr. Octopus kind of fell out of the meta recently. He is still pretty strong, but I would still recommend skipping him because of the strength of other characters out there. Hulk, 100% Hulk. He is free to play, friendly. He is super easy to use. Very strong character. He scales off of hit points. So not only do you need his uniform, but he's pretty much usable anywhere, and he is AB meta right now. He actually replaced Dr. Octopus. And I will, again, I have to reiterate this multiple times. Any of this physical stuff does nothing for him. He is hit point based, and you can see this, and he's one of 2 characters in the game that like this. If all of his skills, it does physical damage by percentage of hit points. Every single skill says that. He scales on hit points. Give him a deep hit point pool, and he will not let you down. Do not give him a regen. Give him a rage. I have a regen on him from before, but a lot of this stuff, you see a lot of hit points because that's what scales his damage. Moving on. Moon Knight is not really worth building right now. He is still strong and has some decent survivability, but there are better options out there. I would probably skip him. Venom is one of the top characters right now for World Boss, and he used to be AB meta and kind of recently got replaced with his Warstar uniform. He's got a lot of survivability. He's pretty strong, very easy to use. The tankiness and survivability is going to make him a joy to play in a lot of different PvE content. I would recommend him, and he's also free to play friendly. Ancient One, honestly, is probably a skip for most people. Not really a great place to use him right now. It's not that this uniform is terrible, it's just not meta or very effective, so I would probably skip him. Sharon Rogers has a tendency to come back in the meta left and right. Right now, she eats World Boss Legendaries alive. So even at tier 3, she's fantastic. She can be tiered 4. Even without her uniform, she's pretty decent. You do want her uniform, though. Most of these characters you want the uniform on. So if you can get a hold of her with selectors, absolutely select her. Make sure you give her an energy. She's very proc friendly. Iron Man. Support, and he does good work on his own as well. So he can be used in a lot of different game modes. He's free to play friendly. I would recommend him for most players. Black Widow doesn't really super shine, and with her newest uniform, she's more PvP focused. Unfortunately, I can't recommend her. Even though she gets to tier 4, I'd probably skip her for most players. Daredevil, PvP, budget, I would probably skip him. Gamora is very free to play friendly, and she's pretty easy to use, and she's kind of like a freemium version of Luna. For that speed female niche, she is not AB meta, but if you don't have like some of the paywall meta like Luna Snow, she's a solid choice and a solid option. She's also pretty easy to use. She has a self-leadership and some team-up bonuses with different Guardians characters, so I probably would recommend her for a lot of players, especially if you're newer. Gwenpool, with the uniform especially, she is actually AB meta. She's super easy to use, a lot of survivability, very user-friendly, so I would recommend her for a lot of players. Again, uniform. If you don't have the uniform, a lot of these characters are probably going to be a skip in many cases, but Gwenpool I would recommend. Luna Snow, premium character with this uniform. With her older uniform, she's still very good and effective. She's got pretty decent survivability, great amount of damage. And if you can afford her premium seasonal limited uniform, she is probably one of the top 5 characters in PvE. So if you can afford her, she's worth it. But if not, she's probably a skip for most players. Nick Fury, great leader. That's pretty much it. He's a leader. Tier 4ing him for different content can be useful. He is a premium character. If you can get him, he is one of the best leader/support characters for heroes. So very niche, but very effective. I would recommend him. Spider-Man is pretty much a skip right now. He is strong in PvP, but I don't even think he's top 5 anymore. He's gotten replaced in a lot of different game modes. So, yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend him for most players. Wong, great support for Doctor Strange, honestly. Magic characters, he does great support. Zombie uniform with the zombie Doctor Strange, nice solid for some game modes. Not all. So, kind of hit and miss, but he gives like a 54% for magic characters or zombie characters. When he has the zombie uniform, it kind of doubles down for that 54 magic character bonus, but he's very niche. Supports are good though. Black Bolt, honestly, even with the uniform, I'd probably skip right now. There's a lot of characters I think that do better. He is easy to use. You probably want his tier 4 if you're going to have him. He's not as tanky as some of the other characters. He's not terrible by any means, but I think there's better options to invest in. And again, a seasonal uniform. Ghost Rider is the best striker in the game right now. So if you're doing AB, Use Ghost Rider pretty much everywhere. ABX, ABL. Nice, solid option for getting as much as you can. He also has pretty decent survivability. If you have his artifact, he has some PvP value. Does a lot of fire damage. Elemental damage is good in a lot of different game modes and stuff. He's very easy to use and has got a lot of tank going on. So if you can get him and build him, I still recommend Ghost Rider. Loki, AB meta pretty much, and that's pretty much about it. So if you're not going to be focusing on AB, just skip them altogether, honestly. Thor is fantastic in World Boss Legendary. He's got some PvE value, not a ton, but he's super easy to use. He's freemium, free to play friendly. I probably would recommend him for most players. Ebony Maw is kind of a skip. Quicksilver is a skip in my opinion. Doctor Doom, old PvP meta. I don't even think he's in the top 10 at this point. Probably a skip. Thanos is expensive. Maybe in the top 10, top 5 for PvP. A well-built Thanos can rock some people's world, but you don't really see him in a lot of timeline teams. You don't see him get used a ton. I would probably skip him for most players, especially with how expensive he is. Apocalypse needs his artifact and his uniform, and he's not even top 10 in my opinion with PvP. Skip for most players. Cable at this point is a skip. He has a strong character. He even works decent with an energy. Honestly, with his Heart of Darkness, he is much better with a rage. He's not really super meta anywhere, and I think there's better options out there, so I'd probably skip him for most players. Mr. Fantastic, skip. Deadpool, PvP, some value, not top. He's a skip for most people. Namor's a skip, in my opinion. Cyclops, great support. He has a hero and villain uniform to make him supportable for multiple days on AB and multiple teams. Supports are critical in any of the PvE game modes, so I would probably recommend him for most players. And he can be tiered 4, so you can use him in some of the tier 4 content stuff, too. Magic, mostly PvP, I'd probably skip her. Professor X is a skip at this point. Black Panther is a skip. Carnage, PvP, as part of a team. Mild meta, probably skip for most players. Kingpin probably going to be a skip. Punisher, skip. Winter Soldier, skip. Maybe his new uniform will be different. Star-Lord's a skip. War Machine does work with an Iron Man team. If you're working on an Iron Man team, fine, but if not, he's probably a skip for most players. Ant-Man, he's got some value, but there's better options. I would skip him. Elektra's a skip. Falcon's a skip, even though there's some support options with the zombie uniform. Hawkeye's pretty much a skip. Spider-Man Miles Morales is one of the better characters for World Boss Legendary. He is elemental, works nicely with a judgment, fairly easy to use. For a lot of players, I would recommend him. Captain Marvel's a skip at this point. Hela does fantastic work with World Boss Legendary, and there is some niche teams that she can work with PvP. Very niche character. The average player probably won't want her. Mephisto's a skip at this point. Black Swan, I mean, there's some PvP value, but she's pretty much a skip as well, in my opinion. Gore has got some PvP value. There's better options, and again, PvP for most players, people aren't going to get into PvP. Kang's a skip, in my opinion. Dormammu's a skip for most players. Molecule Man, PvP stuff, but again, skip for most players. Proxima, leadership support, great in AB teams. High value for AB players, even for farming characters. If you're farming some of the different modes and rifts or stories, she's going to have some value in there. So I would recommend her nichely to some characters or some accounts and some players. Strife has got a passive support for debuff, which is great on teams when you're doing some of the PvP content. So there's some niche ways to use him in PvP, but as a support debuffer, he's recommended if you're going to go into the PvP realms. I probably would recommend him to most players because there are game modes where you can farm materials that it's worth getting him for. Havoc's a skip. Dakin's a skip. Omega Red, skip. Emma's got some PvP value, not a ton. Skip. Iceman, skip. Polaris, leadership for mutants. Leadership/support. Very niche. But support leaders are always worth looking into. Kitty Pryde's got some leadership, but there's better options out there, even for mutant leadership, so probably a skip for most players. Abomination, AB, support, for the most part. Hard to get a hold of, not a high focus, honestly. Blade's a skip for Groot. Groot has some support options that can be given to Gamora in some of the game modes, some of them. So very niche for Guardians of the Galaxy team support. She-Hulk's got some leadership. There's better options out there. Skip for most people. Sleeper, I would still say, is a skip. Taskmaster, with this uniform, Taskmaster is a fantastic support. The new uniform might make Taskmaster even better. We'll see what happens. I would recommend Taskmaster for most folks. US Agent's pretty much a skip. Enchantress has got some supportability. She's pretty decent to use as well. You do want to have her uniform. She's kind of niche. If you can get her, get her. Again, supports are always awesome. You can never have enough supports. Leader has some support value, not a ton. Mostly I use him as a support with Doctor Strange instead of doing an Iron Man swap. There's options there. He's going to be a skip for most players. MODOK's a skip. Phil Coulson's fantastic. If you can get his seasonal uniform, he's a support for both heroes and villains. Without a seasonal uniform, he's just a support for heroes, but he's still a fantastic support option. Rocket's a skip, but there is some Guardians of the Galaxy team-up bonuses there. Sister Grimm's a skip. Black Panther, this is specifically Shuri? Is that her name? I think it's Shuri. Yeah, anyway. I don't know. Yeah, they always end up changing their name. I thought her name is Shuri. Yeah, it is Shuri. I'm not losing my mind. Just can't remember anything anymore. Leader support mostly, but again, leader supports are good to have. So I would recommend for a lot of folks. Chasm's a spider support, very niche. Skip for most folks. Skip. Sin, fantastic with her seasonal uniform. As a villain support, she is phenomenal. AB meta support. And she has an artifact that makes her even better support. So if you can get her uniform, yeah, Sin's actually very much worth as a support. Skip. White Fox, probably one of the best supports in the game for leader characters, with and without the uniform. She's fantastic, so I would recommend White Fox for most players. Yondu is a very niche support character, but yes, I would recommend him for players, especially AB players, because of the alien support stuff that he can do with his uniform. You need his uniform, of course. Skip. Morgan Le Fay has some support AB for AB players. I would recommend her. Ronan's got leadership support. AB players, I would recommend him. Sylvie's a skip. Angel's got some PvP value. He's got some niche ways to use him. There's better options. He's a skip for most players. Skip. Agent Venom PvP team-up builds. Not as much as Carnage, but he has some value, but he's going to be skipped for the average person. Hulkbuster, again, if you're working on an Iron Man team, he's got a great leadership for Iron Man and stuff, but he's a skip for the average person. Red Guardian, I'm not seeing, even with the Thunderbolts, maybe there's different opinions out there, but I think he's a skip for most folks. Blue Dragon is a budget PvP team. Most people are going to skip her. Human Torch, again, niche, Fantastic Four team. He has some value. Mr. Fantastic is his best lead in World Boss. Aside from some World Boss value, there's not a ton for him. He's kind of, if you like him, he's good, he's strong, he's easy to use. You need his uniform. But, I mean, there's other options. So I don't highly recommend him, but I don't think you should necessarily steer away from him. Invisible Woman works on a team as well, so Mr. Fantastic leadership with Human Torch and Invisible Woman, if you can put that team together, you're not going to be able to use it in a lot of spots, though. Bullseye is AB meta right now, if you can tier 4 him. If you're not going to use him in AB, I honestly would probably not recommend him. Skip. I think she has a leadership, but still, I would probably skip her. Shadow Shell, again, with that budget Warriors of the Sky team. Spider-Gwen is actually very strong, and World Boss Legendary, she does great. She's very easy to use. She's actually fairly proc-friendly. You can pull her off with a proc. I would recommend her to the average player. Yelena, I want her to be good, but I just don't think she's that good, so I probably wouldn't recommend her. Black Dwarf's a skip. Skip. He's got some leadership, but I would still skip Beast, probably. Colossus PvP support. So if you're doing PvP, if not, skip. Hope is falling off the AB meta. If you can get a hold of her, she's kind of hard to get a hold of, but if you can get her, she does pretty decent. Think she's going to be fantastic if she ever gets a tier 4. I think she'll just rock it out. She was AB meta. She just recently fell out. Juggernaut's a skip. Dazzler's, I think there's actually some supporter leadership with Bishop. I can't remember. I don't use him on most teams. Dazzler's the best mutant support in the game. So if you're doing mutants, Dazzler's highly recommended. Skip. skip, 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 skip. Keep skipping, still skipping. Gonna skip for a while here. I don't think a lot of these characters. I mean, Luke Cage. There's some like Defenders budget PvP teams, but a lot of these characters are skips. M'Baku has got a great leadership. His artifact helps him out too. So if you can get his artifact, he is a great support lead. He is meta for a lot of the AB teams. So I highly recommend M'Baku if you can get him. Skip, skip, skip. Oh, Red Hulk. Red Hulk is like, with the uniform, is a meta support option on days you can't use better supports. So he's not highly recommended, but you are going to use him on Hulk AB teams. Skip, 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 skip. Civ has got leadership and support ability with her uniform. There's better options, and you don't see her on a lot of teams anymore, so most players are going to skip her, unless you're doing AB. Skip. 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 Thing. Thing is actually even better support option for Human Torch. If you do Mr. Fantastic, the Thing, and Human Torch, fantastic support options for Fantastic Four. But again, Fantastic Four teams are not meta anywhere, so I would skip. Leadership, but mostly skip. 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 Valkyrie, one of the best supports in the game that works for heroes and villains. Easily top 3 best supports in the game. Get her if you can. And she has an artifact that makes her better support as well. So yeah, she's definitely a recommendation. Skip, 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 skip. Still skipping. Skipping through all these. Oh, Mysterio. With his seasonal uniforms, fantastic leadership support. Fantastic support option for villains. AB meta support. Skipping, skipping. Riri Williams is a decent support with the uniform, very niche for World Boss. Sarah C is kind of like a budget PvP option. Spider-Woman's got some leadership and I think some support too, with or without. With the uniform is probably the best option if you're going to use her. Skip. Wasp is another one like Strife that has some PvP passive debuff. By being on the team, don't have to be in a leadership position, so you can use an actual leader and still have debuff for PvP game modes. Skip. Skip, skip, skip. Baron Zima's got some leadership. There's better options. Skip, 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 skip. All these are skips. Sorry I'm saying skip so much, but most of these characters are skip characters. I wouldn't recommend most of them. Sunbird is part of that PvP team. Blue Dragon, Sunbird, and Shadow Shell is the PvP team. He gives an extra revive and stuff. Skip for the rest of these. Wave has got a support leadership. Angela's got a support ability. Skip, 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 skip. Ghost Panther is a support character, very strong support character, and has a fire leadership as well. So a lot of different places to use Ghost Panther. Robbie Reyes specifically for Ghost Rider, but Ghost Rider's not used in a lot of content. He's usually used as a striker, but he has both an artifact that helps with Ghost Rider, and with this uniform, he's a good option for a support character on a Ghost Rider team if you wanted to go that route. But he's niche. Skip. Skip. All these are skips. You know, Richard Rider does have some support ability, and he can be, I think he can be like tier 4, I think, or something. I think he recently got an upgrade. I don't remember the specifics, but he does have some support ability, so you can use him as a support character. Skip. Phyla-Vell is probably one of the worst support characters right now. She does have support ability. I don't recommend her. Skip. Skip. Satana with her uniform. Fantastic support character for your fire allies. And she has this as well. If you can get her artifact, I would highly recommend her. Skip, skip, skip. All these are skips. Got to pick out the good ones out of all these skips. I think we're almost to the end, actually. I think we got through almost all of them. Black Cat is not massively important. She has a seasonal uniform that makes her an incredible lead, and she does this debuff thing for the beast on some AB days with using one of her skills in this uniform. So for AB players, I highly recommend her. For a non-AB player, the average person's not going to get a ton of use out of her compared to others. Rest of these are skips. And that's it. That's the whole roster. That's all 275 characters. I have no idea how long that was, but 25 minutes. So hopefully within those 25 minutes, you got some ideas on who you might consider, some inspiration, some of my thoughts on some of the characters. There's a lot to choose from. There's a huge roster. They are really cool. And at the end of the day, you can pretty much build whoever you want for fun. But if you want to push different game modes, pay attention to what's out there and pick the best options available. Discuss them with your allies and your friends and different folks that are, you know, whether it's in the forums, Discords, or Twitch streams and here on YouTube. And yeah, have fun. Play the game, enjoy yourself, and ask questions. Ask questions. I'll try to do special response videos because I do want to make some more YouTube content on this game because I've been playing it for so long. So anyway, thanks for hanging out, and I will catch you in the next one.